to the roof of the convention center because they said it would be too hard to get in otherwise. And I was like, what are you talking about? But great, that sounds amazing. So then we landed, we went down into the convention hall, and they had all those like metal police barricades up with the fans on one side and a little walkway for, you know, the actors and vendors to walk in. But they had assigned me like this bevy of, you know, a half dozen or 10 security guards who were all like Brazilian Secret Service. Like they weren't just, you know, minimum wage security guards. These guys were super well trained and armed. And I was like, this feels like overkill, guys. And then we walked in to that little corridor of the those police barricades, metal barricades, and fans started leaping over the barricades, grabbing onto me and holding. And the Secret Service guys were like doing these karate chops to like break their holds from my arms. It was really intense. So that was like, I had this one moment in my life, which I will cherish forever, where I got to feel like a real superstar. And sometimes when I'm feeling glum, I should put a post-it to myself somewhere. Like when you're feeling down, remember that time in Brazil when people tried to leap through Secret Service agents to get to you. I did feel special. Jess Horowitz has a great question for me, and I so appreciate it. What is the worst acting job I ever had? Well, where to start? I have a few stories, but I'll tell you one. It was my second film role, and it was in a movie called Finding Home. And Finding Home was a really interesting experience because I got the call. I was playing the male lead in this movie, and I got the call 2 days before we were to start shooting, saying they want you, and you're shooting in Maine. So pack your bags. I was in LA. And apparently they wanted me. They didn't want me, like, that wasn't their first choice, but their first choice guy dropped out at the last minute. So they're like, well, all right, well, whatever, we'll take that guy. So put me on a plane, flew me out there. Landed, the guy picks me up at the airport, hands me a script. He said, there's been some changes. I read the script. I'm like, this is not the script that you showed me before. It's a very different script. So I read the script, then the director comes and says, yeah, you know, the script is a little different from the one that you saw before. I was like, yeah, it's very different. It's super Christian. Like, this is a very, very Christian, it's an anti-abortion film. Like, it's about, like, it's not at all the sort of seashore drama that they had given me before, which was a total bait and switch. And then I drove across the island that we were staying on and talked to the executive producer, who runs an organization called Christian Life Resources. His name is Bob Fleischman, and he is actually just like a thoughtful, delightful human being. We had a really great conversation, made some changes to the script so that it would be like it would be a more universal story, and also one that I felt I could get behind. And Bob Fleischman, by the way, is still a dear friend of mine. I was just texting with him. He's a truly wonderful human being who happens to be from a very different religious and political end of the spectrum from where I am. But so it started. It was like, all right, that was a strange hiccup, but it worked out in terms of like the messaging of the movie. And then I had my first day of shooting, and it was a big scene. And we did the first take of my coverage, and the director comes over to me and he says, in this very, like, he's almost embarrassed to say it, and he says it very quietly so only I can hear. He says, Misha, that was a little, are you okay? Which is, by the way, not great direction to give an actor on the first day of shooting on a project. Like, you need to be very delicate with an actor's ego, because if I start to fall apart emotionally on the inside, I'm not going to be able to give you a very good performance. So I was like, wow. just got the message that I was horrible and probably going to get fired. So I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, you want to try it again? And I said, yeah, of course. And so he goes back over and he goes, all right, everyone, roll camera. And I said, sorry, Larry, just give me 1 second because I have to compose myself. And he said, sure. Everyone, be quiet. Misha needs a minute. And that set the tone for what was a complete train wreck of a shoot. It was supposed to be 6 weeks of shooting, and it ended up being 3 months. The crew went on strike at one point. The director was yelling at people all the time. They bring us in, put us through makeup and hair, sit us in our trailer, and then not use us for the whole day, then send us home and do the same thing the next day. The director, he was a total mess. And at one point, he's yelling at people and threatening to fire them. And then I told Larry, the director, I was like, Larry, if you keep yelling at people, I'm going to quit. So stop yelling at people. And it was a complete fiasco. Mercifully, the movie was not very good, and nobody saw it. So it sort of disappeared into the vapors of history. I have a knack, I'm finding, for talking indefinitely. Let me see, what other questions do we have here? Will you guys hold on 1 second? Hold on. I'm sort of texting with creation at the same time. I think we were maybe going to try to pull some people into this thing with me. We'll see if that works. It might not work, but we're going to see if we could actually just have like a little chit chat. So if you want to chit chat on the screen with me, just type as fast as you can and hit return as many times as you can. I'm just kidding. I'm saying that because you guys are typing so fast. I can't read any of the... Nobody can read any of these questions. I know what I need to do. I need to do a screen cap so I can freeze frame something and then find the question. This is a total cluster F. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find my screen cap. Okay. Gabriel asks, what did playing Castiel teach me over the years? Gabriel, also from Brazil. Wow, it's like there's like a Brazilian invasion happening over this virtual convention. Well, I don't know what it taught me. I think that it taught me that there's something to inherent goodness. Castiel, through everything, his core personality was one of goodness and kindness and empathy. He was trying always to do his best. And even when Castiel was possessed or not himself, I think we all always knew that underlying that was this being who was just trying to do his best and trying to do what was right. And I think I learned that really can be an inherent quality in a human being. I think there really are people who genuinely want to do their best and be their best. And everyone makes mistakes. That's another thing that I learned from Castiel. Everyone's going to screw up. Even people who have a North Star of doing the right things end up screwing up over and over again. And you have to pick yourself up and you have to keep trying. I think that's a lesson that the show has messaged over and over again for years and years. Pick yourself up, try again. Pick yourself up, try again. Do you guys have this problem with you do screenshots and then you can't find the screenshot? Okay. What is my craziest? This is from Ilu Supernatural. ILU. Oh, I love you. Boy, I'm so with an inhale. I love you, Supernatural says, What is your craziest travel story? Oh boy. I don't know even where to start with that. Okay, I've got one. I think this might be my craziest travel story. Sometimes I have this problem, which is that I tell stories and then people think that I'm lying. I'm not lying. Not a word of this is a lie. So I went to, this is another long-winded story. I'm sorry. By the way, if I was not just left alone in my room to talk, I think that I would probably not talk as long and it would be less painful to listen to it. So my craziest travel story, my wife, Vicky, she was my girlfriend at the time, and I, in 1995, we wanted to go to Tibet. So we first went to Nepal, and we did this beautiful trekking trip in Nepal, and then we had gotten, at the time you could not, if you were an American, you could not get a visa to go to Tibet. But somebody had given us the tip that if you get a visa for Beijing, then when you cross and you're meeting the customs agents who are Chinese at the Tibetan border from Nepal, and you present them with the Beijing visa, it sometimes works. So we're like, all right, we did it. And by the way, it was not easy to get the Beijing visa, but we did it. And did this beautiful trek in Nepal, and then we took a bus to the border town, or to near the border town in between Nepal and Tibet. And we had like 10 miles to go. The bus dropped us off at like the town before, so we had 10 miles to go, and we were hitchhiking. We got picked up by these guys in a vegetable truck, and somehow, and I'm not sure how this, maybe somebody nearby spoke English or something, but we tried to convey to them that we're trying to get across the border, and that we were going to try to hide in the back of their truck. And I think I gave them some money. So we're in the back of their vegetable truck, piled with vegetables, just sort of like this loose, open truck with a little cover, but the back was open. And we buried ourselves and the bags in the vegetables. And we got to the border, and these Chinese guards that had machine guns, which I hadn't been anticipating, were standing there, and they come to the back of the truck. Very quickly, they find us in the vegetables. Our hiding job was not good. They said, "What are you doing back here?" And Vicky and I are like, did we fall asleep back here? And pretended like, oh yeah, we were planning to pop out at any minute. So then we presented them with the Beijing visas, and they were like, okay, go on. Didn't care at all, and we crossed the border into Nepal. We got out of the truck, walked into this little town, and it was getting late, so we tried to find a hotel. There was only one hotel, and it really wasn't a hotel. It was like this inn, and it really wasn't an inn. It was like a shack, and it was really dingy. They had 2 rooms for rent. We took one of the rooms. We're up on the 2nd floor, and they served us some soup, which was very viscous, and we didn't know what we were eating. And then we went into our room. But very quickly, we started feeling very sick and not well at all. And so we had to keep on getting up in the middle of the night. The only bathroom was across this mud street. There was like literally sewage running in the street. The only bathroom was across the street. It was an outhouse. We had to squeeze into this outhouse over and over again during the night to go to the bathroom. And then back in the room, there were rats running all over the room, and they were coming out of these little holes. So I was trying to plug up the holes, but a rat would come out another hole and then find that the hole that they were trying to get in had been blocked, and so then they would get frantic and then run across us on the bed. It was as horrible as you can imagine, except for the next morning when it was daylight, and I discovered that when we were going into the outhouse, they weren't using toilet paper there.
Oh God!
They were just wiping and then wiping it on the wall of the outhouse. The Tibetans were quite a bit smaller than me. The outhouse was quite small, and there was no way for me to be in the outhouse without touching the walls with my shoulders. It was awful. It was truly awful. I'm sorry for sharing that story with you, but I have no filter. Here's a question. Here's a question that is a little bit less incendiary. What non-SBN show would I like to be a part of if I could? I would love to do something. I'd love to do something like House of Cards. Well, Willimon created that show. I thought it was really brilliant. It's about the inner workings of politics in DC and the White House. The show creator, Bo, worked on Capitol Hill and actually had real insight into the machinations that go on in politics. And as somebody who's quite interested in politics, I would love to get involved in a political drama that had interesting and insightful messaging. That's one thing that I'd like to do. Just remembering that there's one thing that I wanted to mention because it's been nagging me and I haven't really had a chance to talk about it. But there's a fan online found a photo of me and Jim Beaver and I think Jensen doing like squinty eyes, Asian eyes with two Asian fans that we were taking pictures with. And is it like making all these accusations that we're racist and how could we do that and blah, blah, blah. And I do want to apologize for not having the foresight or presence of mind to not do that. But we do like when we're at these conventions, we're doing 500, 600, 700 photos in a day and moving through a lot of people and often tired from shooting and bleary-eyed and fans ask us to do things. And a lot of times we don't have the right filter or we're not processing it properly. And those fans asked us to do that. And we were like, okay, whatever. Instead of getting into, no, we're not going to do that. I assume, I mean, I don't remember, but I assume, I thought something like, oh, you're Asian, you're asking me to do it. Okay, whatever. Of course it's bad optics, and I apologize to anyone who's offended by that, but I did want to talk about it because I keep seeing like this fan keeps harping about it online and putting it every time I post about something, there's this like Misha's a racist comment that comes up. I think the same person though was also saying I was racist against Asians for I posted a message to the Chinese followers of support because Chinese people were being persecuted in America because our president keeps calling the coronavirus the China virus and being really vitriolic and unfair toward the Chinese. So anyway, this person was saying that I was being racist for doing a message in Chinese because not all Asians are Chinese, but the message was specifically for Chinese people, not for all Asians. I needed to clarify those things because I don't like people thinking that I'm, I have that kind of ill will. Okay. I'm sorry to use up this precious time defending myself from slander. Okay. Who is the... Brittany, I think I need more... Oh, I was scrolling in the wrong direction, guys. Hi, Misha. I'm not going to ask that question because it's also from Brazil. I'm going to do another screen cap. Now I've gotten myself thinking. Okay. Everyone asks about the Winchesters. This is from WinchestielSBN. Everyone asks about the Winchesters, but for you, what is the perfect ending for Castiel? Great question. And I can tell you, WinchestielSBN, is that a family name? What part of the world are your ancestors from? I will tell you that the ending that we have scripted for Castiel is a very final ending. It is pretty much exactly what I would have wished for. So I'm going to just tell you that the ending that Castiel, that you will see for Castiel is the ending that I would have wanted. Robo OT said, did you see that photo of you on Twitter? Will you address that? So I guess I did address that. Thank you for broaching the topic. I hope that I satisfied your curiosity. Okay, I have to do another screen crap. Why do I keep saying screen crap? Okay. When Aglisha says, when are we getting a new cooking video with me and the kids? Good question. Here's the problem with the kids. They've grown self-conscious of the camera, and they also, West now wants to know what view counts we have, which makes me really uncomfortable. He's like, how many loves did we get? And I don't want him to start thinking like that, because that's how we grown-ups think. So I'm a little bit trying to insulate them from that sort of thing. Mason is still young enough that I can exploit her without her realizing that she's being exploited, which is nice, but I think that ship is about to sail. So we'll see. I'm not sure. I might have to adopt some younger kids and start over with that whole endeavor. Wayward Nupsy. I guess that's an Indian name, because she or he is asking, would I like to do a convention in India? Yeah. Well, either you're Indian or you live in India. We wish to meet you too. I would love nothing more. I've been to India. Actually, it was on. Is that the only time I've been there? Yes. It was on that same trip that I was just describing, and I found India to be truly magical. Really loved it. My wife has been 3 or 4 times. Yeah, it's a place that I truly cannot wait to come back to. I was working on an idea for a while, which I may resuscitate, which was an idea about a crossover Bollywood movie. So it would be a movie that appeals to both American and Indian audiences. I can't tell you what the narrative arc of that is, because it's pure gold, and I know that you would steal it. But I have been percolating on something, and that would be so fun. I'm enraptured, enthralled by Bollywood. Here is a question from Amanda CW. Does either Dean or Cass consider themselves to be a fatherly figure to Claire Novak as they are to Jack? Yeah, I think so. I mean, we had episodes where we touched on like that fatherly nurturing relationship that Cass has anyway toward Claire in this season. We didn't get deep into it. Catherine Newton has gone on to become quite a movie star, so I think we sort of lost her as a cast member to bigger and better things. But we did talk about her in absentia, and I do think that was a very important relationship for Cass. But Jack, for both Dean and Cass and Sam, solidified as like the true child-son figure in the show. Okay, how are we doing? This is a question from GenLove72. If I could have one angel power, what would it be? I would love to be able to. I mean, there's so many things. If you think about it, there's so many things that Castiel could do in the beginning, and he lost all of these incredible powers. Castiel could time travel. That's so amazing. I would take that. I mean, it traditionally took a little wind out of him. He was unconscious for a little while after time traveling, but still, pretty cool. I would love to go back and like tell my parents what not to do, and things like that. It would really. Castiel, if I had that power, I could go back and I could also be like protective to the younger me against the various bullies that I came across in my childhood. And of course, this is very traditional and kind of low-hanging fruit. But I could also do a little bit of cursory research and then go back in time and pick winning lottery tickets, which is something that we've all wanted to be able to do at some point. All right, I'm going to try to read one of these questions as they go by. Hi from Greece. Somebody, nope. Simply cannot read them. Okay. This is from Moose Squirrel Art. If I could relive any moment from my life, what would it be and why? What a beautiful question. What a beautiful question. I'm actually having this almost montage flashes of different beautiful little moments in my life. One of them was while I was working on Supernatural. It was the birth of my son. I was equally overjoyed with the birth of my daughter, but I just have this very vivid memory of it is in vogue because it has been proven to be biologically and behaviorally important for infants to imprint on their parents, and one way you do that is you have skin-to-skin contact almost as soon as the baby is born. You want that child pressed up against your skin. So West was on his mother for a moment, and then he was crying, and there were other things to tend to. So I took him and I held him without my shirt on my chest, and I sang "Summertime" to him, and it is that's probably seared in my memory as like one of the most precious moments. And even just being in the room of having a birth, but when it's your own child, it's very poignant. But there's this ecstatic joy that permeates the air, and combining that with like the first contact with my infant son, my first child. And then singing the song my dad sang to me when I was a toddler was a very lovely moment that I would like to relive, I think.
Misha, that's so sweet. Oh,
hi, Steph.
well, hi, Misha. Well, I am here to tell you that we have randomly selected a fan to come on screen and ask you a question. Are you ready?
No, not at all, but I'll do it anyway. This is all my fault, so let's do it.
All right, let's bring on Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
Hi. By the way, I have to tell you, when I pull my knee up like this, and you can see that it's naked, a lot of people are like, on Zoom calls, they're like, oh, I'm naked. I'm not wearing pants. But you can see that I'm really not wearing pants. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm really All right, now I'm going to just set the record straight. Okay, I am wearing shorts. How are you, Stacy, and where are you, and what's going on in your life?
I'm in Illinois.
Okay.
And I'm still doing Gish for the first time this year. So.
Oh, how's that going?
Good. I have a great team this year.
Do you? But it's the first time, right?
Yep.
So you don't know if it's a great team. It actually could be a terrible team, but you have no basis of comparison. All teams could be infinitely better.
I don't know. We've done a lot of challenges so far, so.
Okay, I'm messing with you.
I know.
To do, I'm sorry to say.
From what I'm reading on Facebook, we've got a good team.
Okay, good. How was what have you created?
I did the Bury Your Feelings, the mask, the calendar for your favorite actor.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Was that Jared Padalecki? No.
Jennifer.
Ah, damn. What is your question?
My question is, what is your favorite dish to cook with Misha?
What is my favorite dish to cook what?
With your daughter, Misha.
Such a good question. Mason is so delightful in the kitchen. She loves to experiment with things. What have we cooked recently? I love things that I love making pizza with her because you can put on whatever toppings you want and she always comes up with something totally weird. I made a video once of her doing that, and she ended up putting, and it wasn't like I'm trying to prompt her like do something weird for the for the fans. She's like, let's put a slice of watermelon and some eggs. She cracked some eggs and a slice of watermelon. It was actually very tasty. But Mason also really likes to make sweet treats. I think that the most fun we've had in recent memory was making a birthday cake for a friend. I was like, it's our friend's birthday. We got to make a birthday cake. They decided, West and Mason decided they wanted to make a 7-layer cake. So we made 7 layers of cake, but each one had different food colorings in it. So each layer of cake was a different color. And then they created this frosting. It was their own recipe that literally looked like somebody had vomited on the stack of cakes. And they were so proud of it and thought that it was like so beautiful and so delicious. It's an interesting experiment with cooking with kids. When they participate in the cooking, they're always more interested to try it, but they're almost always proud of what they've made, no matter how catastrophic the creation. And it does show an interesting thing. Like they're not yet at the point in life where they feel bad about themselves. Like they're not yet overcome by shame. If I had made that cake, I'd be like, oh God, what have I done? It's a disaster. You're gonna hate it. I'm sorry. I tried. They make it, and they're like, look, isn't this beautiful? I made this. Isn't that amazing? So it's an interesting, fleeting glimpse into the precious innocence of childhood. Any other questions? Do you have any other follow-up questions?
No, that's all.
Very nice talking to you. Have a good rest of your evening in Illinois. Steph, do you have other people you want to patch in, or should I just keep? I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to keep talking, and then I will. If you want to bring anyone else on, just bring them on. All right. That worked very well, though. It was like this incredible technological feat. Okay. Let's see. What other questions do we have here? Do another. So, I'm going to ask a question from. This is from Camille Oliveira. Misha, how do you feel about one of the stages at the end of the series, and what do you intend to do after SBN is over? I'm not sure what you're asking. You mean like one of the stages where we shoot, or just being in the stage of being at the end of Supernatural? I'm gonna assume that you're talking about the stage of being at the end of Supernatural, stage in time rather than